And I told her, I said, look, if you start digging, if you find out my name, like I'll leave. Like there's certain things that catch you. Staying in contact with people that you know, that's how you get caught. Going back to see people, that's how you get caught. Telling people who you are, that's how you get caught. And I was like, so I'm Joseph Carter. Everything's fine. And she was like, okay. And keep in mind too, this girl, your car's broken or your car's not doing well? Take it and trade it in. We'll go get you another car. We'll go get you, an Infiniti, FX or whatever, a $55,000, $60,000 vehicle. She's driving the equivalent of a beat up old Nova. I mean, you want to go on vacation? We'll go on vacation. You want to do this? You want to do that? So, we're buying houses. We're renovating houses. We're building brand new houses. We're buying lots. Like she's like in the middle of this, like, holy Jesus, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars in our bank account, her bank account. I open up a corporation in her name. She's opening up bank accounts. She's got there's websites. It's a lot. And while this is happening, we start seeing a friend of hers. So this other girl comes in the picture. Her name's Trina. And Trina is semi-lesbian. So
is this like a sexual thing?
Yeah.
Or actual relationship?
No, it's more like she's coming over a couple times a week.
Okay.
So we've got tons going on. And how do I put this? So while this is happening, I end up coming out in like several magazines. So I'm thinking this whole thing's dying down, but it's not dying down because now I just got caught and handcuffed in a bank, walked out of the police station, outran marshals. Although that part, the marshal thing was never in the papers, but the getting caught and handcuffed in the bank, when that hit the papers, that's everywhere, bro. That's huge. Suddenly Chicago Tribune's running a series, The Fugitives. I'm in Bloomberg Business Week. They run an article called, Sharks in the Housing Pool. Then you've got Fortune Magazine comes out with a thing because by now, guess what? Becky's been caught.
Oh, Becky.
Oh, Becky.
Is she in Houston or whatever?
In Houston, got caught.
And did she...
But gangster, bro. Like the way here's the thing.
Hey, there you go.
No. Oh, no. She told on me immediately.
Oh, she did?
Yeah,
oh, no.
It's fine. She did the right thing. So here's what's funny about that.
I don't know about that.
Here's what she says.
Loyalty is everything in this world, my friend. That you and I disagree on.
I just took off.
Still.
On her and left her with like $500,000 or $600,000 is what I left her with.
It's not all about money, Matthew. It's also about just like, ride or die. There's a meaning to that.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So
she said everything.
Well, here's what when I say gangster, when she gets caught,
yeah.
They come in, she's in the middle of beauty school. She's paid for beauty school. She's going through beauty school. She's going to open like a salon or something. So she's in there cutting hair in a class, on a mannequin. And all of a sudden, like 5 or 6 Secret Service agents come in, guns drawn, screaming, get on the ground, get on the ground. She said, everybody dropped to the ground. She said, I'm sitting there with scissors going. They grab her, they handcuff her, they bring her in. And the whole time, now at that point, she was Rebecca. Well, her name was Rebecca Hickey. She went by Becca. She's Rebecca Hickey, which is she's got a Texas driver's license, the whole thing. And they're screaming at her, and they put her in the car and they're driving the whole way. She goes, the Secret Service agent told me 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. She's telling us, you're losing your job, bro. You're losing. I mean, he's like, I couldn't believe it. Like we got pictures of her. Yeah. We're like, this is you. She's like, that's not me. Are you insane? Yeah. Look at that chubby little thing. Yeah. She just would not budge till they actually put her hand on the scanner. And she goes, okay, I'm Rebecca Houck. What do you need? They're like, where's Matt Cox? She's like, I have no idea. That fucker left me like a year ago. So,
but she contributed to the story, to the legend that's already growing.
Oh, because she was interviewed by Fortune Magazine, and it was horrendous. The article is horrendous. He was abusive. He's a Don Juan that forced me to fall in love with him, commit mortgage fraud, and then took all the money and left. By the way, they found like 40 or 50 grand on her and maybe another 30 or 40 in her bank account and no other money.
Yeah.
Where's the other money? So anyway, and she was, by the way, she got caught. She was in communication with her family. So she's talking to her mom.
That's how she got caught ultimately.
And her mother through multiple conversations. One conversation being, Mom, I'm doing fine. I can't tell you where I am, exactly, but I'm in Houston, Texas. I'm fine. Next one, 6 months later, I enrolled in beauty school. Houston, Texas beauty school. How many are there?
Yep.
And her mom, bipolar. I just want to see my daughter.
Yep.
I'm going to call the Secret Service.
Yep.
I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And honestly, she is doing the right thing. So,
so you're getting more and more famous.
It's bad
nationally,
right? So I've got all these houses.
You're having a threesome with Amanda and Trina,
and what ends up happening is we end up going on. And listen, Amanda and I, we've gone to Greece, Italy, Croatia. We're going on multiple trips, and when we just gotten back from like a 10-day cruise of the Greek Isles, and we get home and Amanda goes online and there's a blog about Dateline about one of their new specials called The Thief of Hearts. And that's me. Apparently I'm the thief of hearts. And I'm apparently going around and it's based on, Becky's story that I'm wooing women to commit fraud, stealing all the money and then leaving them to hold the bag. Well, they interviewed her. They're interviewing multiple people, in my case. They're putting together an episode. It's going to be released in a month or so. So I'm terrified. At this point, I've been on the run 3 years, and I'm like, there's lots of things I could care less about. Fortune, I don't know anybody that reads Fortune. Bloomberg, come on, I'm hanging out with contractors and laborers, and I'm not hanging out with these guys. So, local news, who cares? Even local news channels, I don't care. But Dateline, there weren't 400 channels back then, So Dateline comes out, even if you don't see it the first time, they're going to rerun it in 3 months or 6 months or 10 years from now, they might rerun it again. My face is going to be on it. So I could be perfectly fine 5 years from now. And one day the barista that I go to every other day looks at Dateline and goes, oh my God, that's Mr. Johnson or that's Mr. Thomas or whatever. So the point is that I was like, yeah, I got to go. I can't stay here. I got to get out of the country. So I was going to go to, we really started doing research, and Amanda ended up saying Australia. Australia at the time, I don't know how it is now, but at the time, if you went to Australia with it's like $100,000 and a business plan, you could become a permanent resident alien. You can't vote, but you can buy property. You can open a business, but you can't get a job. And they didn't require fingerprints. So there's no criminal background check. Now, if you wanted to be a citizen, you have to get an FBI criminal background check. No, I'm good. So I was like, wow, I can go there and start a business. And I'm going to show up with a couple million. So what we do is we start refinancing houses. We'll start pulling out money as quick as we can. I'm asking laborers, guys that I work with, my general contractor, my real estate agent, hey man, can you cash this check for $6,000? Nobody says no. Everybody, yeah, no problem. No. A few guys like, yeah, man, if you give me 10%, yeah, I'll give you 10%. So that's happening. We're pulling out cash. One day, Amanda gives Trina a bunch of checks and asks her to cash them. That sparks a conversation that what's happening. She confides in, by this point, by the way, Amanda knows who I am. So by this point, she's actually came across the letter that I wrote to my parents when I left Tampa. So she's figured out who I am. She tells Trina, his name's Matt Cox. Dateline's coming out. We're leaving. We got to get a bunch of cash. And Trina goes, okay, I'll cash the checks. And what she does instead is she calls the Secret Service. They watch my house for 3 days. I come home one day. They pull the cars up and they arrest me. So, it's a little bit longer than that, but that's shorter. That's a short version of me getting arrested. And, I've probably skipped over a whole bunch
So simple because you've gotten away with much more complex situations.
It's women, man. It's women.
Um,
Just joking.
They also are the thing that make life worthwhile.
Listen, God bless Trina. She did the right thing. It honestly,
There you go, back to the right thing.
But I mean, based on what she saw, based on what the Secret Service told her, and what in the articles that she's reading, I'm a bad guy. I mean, I'm a bad guy in general, right? So I don't deserve loyalty. I don't think so. I'm ripping people off, and she's thinking that her friend is in danger. The FBI is saying I have a weapon. He's dangerous. He's got a weapon. We believe he's armed and dangerous. When I was in Florida, I had a concealed weapons permit, but I had gotten rid of both my guns when I was placed on probation. I've never had one since. I've never touched a gun since. But they used that to say, they said, oh, he had a concealed weapons permit. Okay, well then he's armed and dangerous. Like there's these little things, and think they're telling her, read this article. Look, he forces girls to fall in love with them. Then he that's what he's going to do, your friend. Mm-hmm. So she negotiated also, I think she got $10,000. I think, which is embarrassing. I'm ashamed that she got $10,000
and said everything.
Yeah, and told them this is where he is. His name is Joseph Carter. He's this is where he is. They watch it. They grab me. They arrest me. They bring me downtown.
What did you feel like when you got?
I didn't feel good, bro. It was bad. It was a bad day. It was a bad day. First of all, Casino Royale was coming out on Friday. Yeah. It was the first Daniel Craig as James Bond.
Yeah.
And the whole week, I'd been telling Amanda, I'm going to go see Casino Royale. She'd go, okay, well, on Saturday, we're going to go to the festival. I go, that's fine. But on Friday, Casino, and she's like, right, Casino Royale. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, okay, by the way, on Thursday, I thought we could go to dinner. That's fine. But on Friday, Casino Royale. And when they put the handcuffs on me, the first thing I thought of, I'm not going to fucking sit to see Casino Royale. I'm not going to get to see it. I'm not going to see it. And I saw it about 5-6 years later, and when on the Institution's movie channel. It's nice. It's not the same, but so they bring me to Nashville, then they transport me to all over the place. I go on, Con Air, they fly me to Oklahoma, they fly me to Atlanta, then I go to Atlanta, I'm placed in the U.S. Marshals holdover, I get assigned an attorney, go in front of the judge, plead not guilty, meet with my attorney. You always plead not guilty. Whenever these people say, can you believe that he pled not guilty? That's the first thing. Nobody walks in and pleads guilty. You plead not guilty while you kind of figure out what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. So I plead not guilty. There's no bond. Obviously, they caught me. When they caught me, I had 4 or 5 passports. So that's no good. They charged me with, bank fraud, conspiracy to commit bank fraud, wire fraud, mail fraud, passport fraud, conspiracy, or what was the other? Aggravated identity theft, money laundering, use of a fraudulent passport. And there's 30 counts of this, 20 counts of this, 20, but none of that matters. Like even if you just dropped all the counts to one count and stacked them, it's like 150 something years.
So everything they could.
And that's what they always say. You're looking at 150,000, and your lawyers, they're like, this, you're not looking at that. You're looking at 54 years. What? That's no better. That's no better. So my lawyer comes in and sees me one day, like our first meeting. And she says, I'm Millie Dunn. And she says, listen, I've looked at everything. First they say, you're responsible for, it's like 25 or 20 or 30, 25 or $26 million in loss. And I'm like, that's not true. That's not true. And I was like, not even, I said, maybe not even potential loss. There's just no way. I mean, there's no way. And then she comes back and she says, well, they're saying 19 million. Now, it's not possible. Tell you anything, I didn't know. So when the FBI is saying like 40 million, they're saying 11.5 in Tampa plus 40 million for the mortgage company. Mm-hmm. So that it ends up being like, plus what I stole on the run, it ends up being like 55 million. But she gets them to drop like the 40. Like that's his brokers, that's this, that's that, drop it. And they're like, he's so done. It doesn't matter. They drop that. So it ends up being like 15 million. And then it's down to, what does he owe? They said 9.5 and I got it down to like 6 million. So, which, I'm good for. So what ends up happening is they've charged me with all these things, and she's like, okay, you're like, you can plead guilty and you can go with the sentencing guidelines, which is going to be like, she's like, I mean, it depends. She said it might be whatever, 54 years. But if they run them, concurrent or consecutive, depending on which one they do, she said it most likely it ends up being like 30 years. It's like, that's not good. That's not good. So we kind of go back and forth and try and figure out where what I'm looking at. Now, as we go through the whole thing, she ends up saying, she knocks off a bunch of stuff that they're saying I did, enhancements. Because you'll have a base level of, let's say, level 8. That should be maybe a few years. But then they start adding on enhancements. What he do? Was it sophisticated? Yes. Okay. 3 levels for sophisticated means. Were there more than, how many victims? Were there more than 50 victims? Yes. Okay. That's 6 more levels. Okay. Did he change the jurisdiction to evade detection? Yes. That's 4 more levels. Okay. They start adding, boom, boom. And when you start adding up all those levels, plus your criminal history, and I have a big criminal history because I was already on federal probation and I committed a new crime on federal probation. So that was another enhancement. And this case, so I'm in like a category, I'm like a category 2 or 3. So they come back and they're saying, I forget, it's like 20. Well, they don't come back right away, but she ends up saying, you're probably looking at 14 years. Okay, that's reasonable. And so she's saying, so when we get the PSI back, we eventually get what's called a pre-sentence report. They're saying 26 years. Well, they really said 32 years. And I argued and we got it down to 26 years and 4 months. That's what it is. It's 316 months. That's how they do it in months. It doesn't sting that much, I guess, if you say months.
Yeah.
So she says to me, Millie sits down with me and she says, listen, you got to cooperate. And I was like, okay. And she said, because you're guilty. You're extremely guilty. She's like, you can't go to trial. And she said, so you need to cooperate. I was like, well, what do I get if I cooperate? And she's, the way it works is you cooperate and you hope for the best. And I was like, are you serious? You tell them everything you know and you hope for the best. And she's like, what part of the problem is, she said, everybody in Tampa's cooperated. Rebecca has cooperated. Everyone across the board has cooperated. There's nobody that hasn't cooperated.
By the way, when you say cooperate, you mean they're an informant. AKA snitched.
Right. They came in, they sat down with their lawyer and they said, this is what he did. He did this, he did that. They showed him documents. Yes, that's my signature. I didn't know what that was. Everything was my fault. They didn't do anything. It was all me. So they've all cooperated and they haven't been charged. They've been indicted. They're all named as unnamed co-conspirators on my indictment. So I've got like 12 people. I mean, there's like probably 20 people that are involved, but there's like 12 of them that are. So I've got all these names, KB, DL, CY. It's like, I know who that is. Like, I know who DW, that's Dave Walker. I know who these people are. And so there's just a list of them. There's like 12 of them, plus me. And some of them walked in and said, I'm guilty. I just want to plead guilty. The girl, Allison, she walked in Said, I'm tired of waiting for you to come get me.
Mhm.
Walked in with her lawyer and said, I just want to plead guilty. And they sentenced her and she went to jail. She got like 36 months or 30 months. She called the prison. She went to the low security. It was a female prison at the time, female camp. Called the camp and asked for if she could come by for a tour before she went. And they went, excuse me? She said, well, I'm going to be there for about 2 years. So I'd like to come in. Is there like a tour I can take? Because I like to know where I'm going. I mean, what it's going to be like, how I should prepare. And they just started laughing. They said, there's no tour, sweetie. We'll give you the tour when you get here. You gotta love that. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
I thought I wasn't prepared. I mean, there's no tour. So Becky got 70 months. But when I got caught and when I was sentenced, they reduced it to like 40 to 40 months. They reduced
because
it.
she cooperated. That term. Right.
Do you want to say snitch? Or
there
ratted?
must be, I mean, snitch is too harsh of a word, but yeah, the ratted. I mean, you're saying, I don't know.
Well, we can get there. We'll get there.
All right. All right.